Tim, Tim, Tim on his couch. So hello. So today, I'd like to take a look at another owner's manual. I never owned this car, mind you, but I massively liked them. They were kind of like the top of the range Ford in the UK. The Granada, it was known as, and they were in various different guises. This one's probably a Mk2. The Mark 1 was probably famous in the television series called The Sweeney, with John Thor and Dennis Waterman playing the roles of policemen in the Sweeney Todd. So it's Cockney rhyming slang for flying squad. So the police division of the flying squad. So, and they used the Mark 1 version of this car in there. Sort of screaming the wheels around. They were all rear wheel driven, these vehicles. But this one appears to be from 1977. In fact, my neighbour, because where I lived, where I was brought up, my neighbour owned one, and well, he was quite a senior manager in the Lang building firm, and he used to get a chauffeur-driven one come at it. He actually didn't own it. I'm lying. He that was Motorcraft. I remember, affiliated to Ford. The Motorcraft would supply all the shock absorbers for air filters and things like that, you know, and the spark plugs, dizzy caps, we called those distributor caps, wipers and lamps, all that sort of thing. So these books were issued to the owners, obviously, so that you could get to know your own vehicle. And yeah, they were very good cars, apparently. I mean, I owned Capris. I had quite a few Fords in my day, and I did like them very much. There was a Ford dealership in town where I used to live, so in the main town in Watford. So I used to sort of go, as a kid, I used to catch the bus over there, and I used to go sort of looking around the cars. I often used to get chased off by one of the salesmen saying, "What are we doing?" And I sort of, "No, I'm just looking," sort of thing. "You scratch my cars?" No, I just used to love looking into them. You can see different versions of the things. Very comprehensive vehicle, in actual fact. Lovely cars. And a friend of mine called Titch, his nickname, I won't give his real name, but his nickname was Titch because he was only a short chap. Very nice chap, and he was a taxi driver, and Titch used to have one of these Granadas, this exact model, and very often he'd see me, bless him, walking up the road somewhere about in Watford, and he'd just give me a lift for free. It was very kind of him, much to the dismay of the person that was paying the bill. Oh, that's my brother, he used to say. I wasn't really his brother, but that's my brother. He's on his way home. So I'd get a free ride. But obviously in these days, air conditioning was quite something to have in a British car, because I mean, I know the American cars had it and the Japanese cars had it for years and years before. And obviously you had a radio back in those days. You didn't even have a cassette player. It was more of a radio was luxury, you know. And, no, having said that, there are cassette players coming up. Look, there are. Before these came 8-track, but these are sort of the standard cassettes, you know, the cassette radio players. I don't know, it's a bit more advanced than your norm. But I used to love the Fords, as I say. The first one I ever had was a Fiesta. It was a white Fiesta. A friend of mine pointed out, it's quite amusing actually, a friend of mine pointed out that Ford UK had named their cars after pornographic magazines. There was like Fiesta was a pornographic magazine, and then Escort was another one. I don't know, you know, I didn't buy them, honest. I used to find him in the woods sometimes, but it was amusing. I don't know, Granada, I don't think it was a Granada. Porn gentleman's magazine, but yeah, auto. Yeah, most of my cars were manual, but auto I first came across in the United States, and I just think it's just brilliant. I just wouldn't want to be in a manual car, but for some reason I've never actually bought an auto since. It's just, I guess it's to do with the roads, because in America, in the States, everything's so vast and so wide. The roads are so huge. You've got your cruising, you know. Whereas in the European zone, as it were, everything's so cramped and small, and you really arguably need a gearbox to kind of save your brake pads, because you're constantly braking and turning, and there's hardly any corners in the States, which is why the cars are so softly suspended with you know, the suspension is very soft. You float along. It's awesome. I love it. In fact, I'd love to live in the States, for even now. But as an old boot, as it were, you know, I'd be far better off there. I feel sure. But these cars were for the UK market. They were pretty damn good, to be honest with you. And although they called them Dagenham dustbins because they were made in Dagenham mostly, and they used to kind of rot away. They were notorious for corrosion. The modern Fords, no, I don't know how well Ford are doing in the UK at the moment, as far as it goes. Possibly not that well, I don't know. But I like them, and I'd buy another one if I could afford it. Obviously, I can't afford it, but you've got your maintenance checks here. Look, battery, all the basics that you need, brake fluids, things like that, clutch adjustment. Well, that's hydraulic brake that I can see. And then you've got your bits and bobs for oil, checking your levels. The engines on these things were wonderful. They were OHC overhead cam engines with obviously that's one with power steering. It says obviously that have some sort of pumper rack on there, and you've got a V6 engine, and that's the OHC without power steering. So boom boom boom. Obviously that's the power steering pump rack, because it's missing in it down there. So that's what that was. But the V6s were quite pokey. They were, what I mean by that is they were pretty good. You know, they were pretty efficient. A lot of torque, and you could cruise up a hill in sort of third gear, no bother. But I like, as I say, I keep saying it, I like the Ford, but I've not had one for years, because they're not that. In fact, there aren't any Ford dealerships that I'm aware of in this area of Poland. I've never seen one ever. I don't think they ever bothered venturing into the to the country, and if they did, it would be in the main city. I like these types of things though, because this is when back in the day when you could adjust headlamps really easily. You didn't have to sort of take the cut front tyres off to do it, like you do in my Megane. You got to take the, well, it's not my Megane anymore. It's my ex-wife's. She's inherited it. But yeah, you to get the front light bulbs changed, it's an absolute performance. You know, you've got to jack the car up, drop the wheels, or take them off better off. And then so you can access these tiny chambers where only a child's hands would fit, you know, and it's just ridiculous. I actually got my hands stuck in there. In fact, you can see some of these scars were from that Megane. It was a menace, that car, for me anyway. Luckily I've dumped it on the ex-wife. Well, she likes it, but she's got a new fella to help her out fixing it up, so that's all good. It's all good, baby, it's all good. But, there's the specs. So there you go. They're the engines. You see, you were offered 2 litre inline. Well, that's an inline 4 probably. And then you've got a 2.3 litre V6, and you've got the 2.8 litre V6. And then that's the high compression version. But then you had the fuel injected one, which was much more pokey. The fuel injection really gives it more power, as you can see. From 133 horsepower, it leaps up to 158. Which is really impressive, you know. That's cool. But and there's your capacities. Well, it's for diesel, I think that's mostly. And you've got other bulb charts. Yeah, I love these sort of books. I must say, I know this might be, you know, perhaps I should be reading this in nerdy nasal voices, you know, because I just want to. Today I would like to present you the owner's manual of the Ford Granada. You know. But no, I actually like these things. I must say, I like these books. I sort of pore over them. Could never afford the car nowadays, I suppose you could argue. Cheap to run the manual and fun to look through. So I've got a whopping great selection of them. Over about 1,000 probably. Oh well, there'll be plenty more manual reviews coming, I can tell you. But no, I'll try and chop and change on my channel for a bit. I don't really know where I'm going with it. I'm just glad it's not giving me grief is all. Anyway, I hope you found this of some interest. I really appreciate you watching. If you have watched it through to this level of boredom, then I'll be handing out medals on the fire exit. All the very best. Cheers.